Let's talk about the economy and the market reset. I'm not talking about what's going on last Thursday and Friday and then again Tuesday. That's a pullback. That is a pullback of stocks that have gotten out of control, went stellar, and now need to come back into orbit, come back into their trading channel and progress forward as they normally would. They got out of hand. That is not to say, though, that they are not going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to grow because of the coming market reset, the economy reset. This is going to happen much like it happened shortly after World War II. We are knee-deep into World War III. A lot of people call it a pandemic. I call it World War III. More people are being affected as a result of this pandemic than were affected in World War II. Now, I wasn't alive. I really wasn't alive for World War II, but I was alive for Vietnam. Yes, we saw it every night on our TV, but it was over in Vietnam. It affected our lives, but it didn't really restrain us. It didn't make us change the way we live. It didn't put us into fear for our lives. And that's what the pandemic has done. And as a result of that, a lot of people have woken up and said, this can never happen again. So much like on July 1st of 1944 in Bretton Woods, a meeting of the world powers came together to make sure this never happened again, and I'm referring to World War II. They didn't see a pandemic, although we have been warned many times that such a pandemic would come. We just never believed it would. In Davos, Switzerland, in January of 2021, there will be a meeting of the world leaders of governments as well as business with the main purpose of resetting the world economy. What does it mean to reset an economy? Well, we know that there are a number of issues that need to be addressed. They are going to fall into three categories: digital, biological, and our physical world. Those three elements have to be changed to make sure that we don't have a repeat of the pandemic. Now, what would the next pandemic possibly be? It could be another healthcare pandemic, but more than likely it will be a climate change pandemic, because I think we will address the biological very quickly. I know, you know, that there are companies in the United States and around the world who are addressing the potential of another physical or biological pandemic. Apple and Google have come together to create a tracking system that will tell my phone if I opt in, if I've come in contact with someone who subsequently gets a contagious disease. They are going to step up and do that. That is all technology that is possible. The big fear for most people is one of climate. And we have, as a unintended consequence of the corona pandemic, we have learned what can happen to eliminate the problems we have in climate change. As a result, in early April, of the absence of motor vehicles, internal combustion engines on our highways, our atmosphere cleaned up very quickly. So there will be a tremendous push to get to electric vehicles, whether it be automobiles and trucks. As an investor, that makes me feel better about Tesla and what's happening to it today. I want to own that. I want to be in that space as an investor. On the biological side, I want to be in that space that offers me the way to detect whether I have a communicable disease or if I have cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, whatever. Those things are going to become available to us as a result of the digital world we live in. And it's going to become important to us as a result of what's going to happen in the great market and economy reset that is going to happen that is going to start in January of 2021. So I want, as an investor, to position myself such that I take advantage of this overall change in our world economy. These technologies, digital, biological, and physical, are all going to become human-centered. Another unintended consequence of the pandemic has been the unrest that has been seen in cities in the United States as well as around the world. The inequities of our society, the gap that has grown between those who have and those who don't have. I saw a piece this weekend about a city in New Jersey that is close to their seaport and the number of trucks that come through their neighborhoods that have created unimaginable levels of lung disease and breathing problems in young children. Again, emphasizing the need to get rid of the carbons that we put into our air. One of the primary objectives of the market reset is going to be to decarbonize our population. What does that mean to me? That means that we are going to work hard to harness the energy of the sun. I may not live to see it, but because my house has a southern exposure on the back of my roof, the value of my home is going to go up. Because people who have roof exposures east and west are going to have difficulty raising the amount of power that my home will. I, knowing that, will raise the price on my home when I'm ready to sell it. But more importantly, I am going to recognize that these changes are going to occur, so I'm not going to be interested in the automobile companies, the oil companies, the gas companies. We are finally going to harness the greatest source of energy in our atmosphere from the sun. Just this morning, we saw a partnership between General Motors and Hyliion. That's an interesting development. General Motors is recognizing they need to find a way to change their business model because there's going to be a meeting next January in Davos, Switzerland, with the single purpose, or one of the primary purposes, is to how to put the internal combustion engine into our past. And that's going to have a drastic effect on companies like Ford, General Motors, BMW, Volkswagen. Yes. So those are important things. The whole structure of this is going to go from short-term gains to long-term necessities. You are going to see a change in the way our economy works. We're going to move from how man can function with nature, not how man can destroy nature. We're going to work towards not benefiting one or few, but benefiting the many. Again, you need to recognize that's what's happening on our streets in the evenings in our cities and cities around the world is coming to a head, and it's going to have to be addressed. The economy is going to be changed accordingly. Another issue that is going to have to be addressed is the overwhelming debt that nations are taking on. That will be a difficult solution to come up with. And the far-reaching effects of it, I don't know. I don't understand. So as an investor with that information, what do you ask yourself? How do you position yourself? I would ask you, who owns the technology? Who owns the talent to make these things possible? Who owns the data that is going to make, with the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, all of these things possible? Who owns the processing power that is going to be needed in the computers to process the data that we have now and the data that we will gather in the future to make all these things possible? Who has the money? And I think those answers are evident to me. They are the big nine. You'll notice I said the big nine and not the big six. And that is because there is going to be a recognized need for a unified effort to make this happen. And everybody has to come to the table with a single objective: make the world a better place and make sure a pandemic of whatever nature never happens again. So you will see a change in attitudes between the United States, China, Russia, and Europe, and Africa, South America, India, and Japan. There will be a united effort that says we have to put our differences aside, we have to put our fears and anxieties aside, and we have to come together, or we're going to destroy this planet collectively. This is going to happen. So you need to decide where you want to invest your capital. Do you want to play the short game, or do you want to play the long game? Do you want to be involved in your benefit and to hell with everybody else? Or do you want to bring the one to the many? Do you want to be involved in man destroying nature, or do you want to be involved in man preserving nature and preserving the planet that we live in or live on? Again, today, with this in mind, I bought Apple. Not because of their phone, because of their initiative in the healthcare field. I bought Amazon, not because I can buy my clothes and my shoes and my books and my music through Amazon, but because of their cloud computing power. I bought Tesla, not because of Elon, but because they are the leader in the decarbonization of our automobile industry. I bought Microsoft because of their cloud computing capabilities. And I bought Google, not for Google Search, but for Google Health. Those are the purchases I made today. I raised cash by selling other stocks, and I'm down to the big six plus Tesla and Square. I'm betting on the great market and economy reset. Watch for it. It's starting in Davos, Switzerland, January 2021. And I'm going to be a very privileged person, and I'm going to invest in the companies that are going to change the way I live.